It's 3400 BC, and there is a party happening down in Lower Mesopotamia. All the hottest Sumerians are there, and they're bringing their freshly cultivated joy plants. The joy plant is a beautiful red flower, the seed pods of which hold a very sweet nectar which ancient Sumerians just can't get enough of. They dance the Sumerian conga, drink traditional Sumerian drink, play Sumerian party games, and the joy plant keeps the party going all night long. Fast forward about 5,000 years. Today, the joy plant is no longer referred to as the joy plant. No, it's referred to as the opium poppy, the modern flower responsible for producing opioid pills. See, in the last 5,000 years or so, the intentions of the joy plant have really strayed and are actually producing some pretty negative effects on this country. In fact, Nora DiVolco, on the Senate Caucus of International Narcotics Control in 2014, stated that currently over 2 million people nationwide struggle with opioid addiction. This ain't Lower Mesopotamia no more. It's time for legislative action. So first, let's sow the seeds and discover the causes to find out why we're really in this mess. Next, we'll harvest our opium poppies and see just where they take root in American life, before finally learning about a solution that can truly put the joy back in joy plant through legislative action. So, how is it that the joy plant in recent years has gotten to cause so much sadness? Well, there are 3 causes as to why the opioid crisis is worse than ever. First, we misunderstand what opioids truly are. Opioids, derived from the opium flower, are a type of pain medication used to treat moderate to severe class pain. They are extremely strong and bind to opioid receptors in our body. They overwhelm them and suppress the pain messages to our brain. See, upon hearing the word, many people think of common dangerous examples of opioids, such as morphine, codeine, Oxycontin, Percocet, and even heroin. But we neglect to think about more domestic opioids, like fentanyl, Vicodin, and Movantik, brand names that get advertised to us every day. People receive opioid prescriptions from their doctors and surgeons and trust them blindly. Many people are on opioids without even realizing it. The second cause of this crisis is due largely in part to opioids' highly addictive nature. See, with some drugs, it's very easy to start the process of getting off at any time because they're less addictive. But substance abuse counselor Matt Finch explains that when our bodies become addicted to an opioid, it acts on what's known as our midbrain, a part of our mind that controls our survival instincts. It essentially brainwashes us into correlating the drug with survival, leading to very fast addiction. The final, and perhaps most disturbing cause of this crisis are due largely in part to the gross amount of opioids which are overprescribed on a daily basis. See, the Washington University School of Medicine explains last year that it's not unusual for patients to be sent home with 30, 60, even up to 90 pills, and they may only take them for 2 or 3 days, at 2 or 3 pills per day. So now we know why this crisis is so bad, but what are the negative effects of it? Essentially, why should we care about this crisis? Well, the opioid crisis has produced 2 devastating effects on our country. First, we have to face the fact that opioids, prescription opioids mind you, are turning people onto heroin. When these addicts' pills run out and doctors just won't refill their prescription anymore, they seldom have elsewhere to turn, except to heroin, one of the most commonly abused drugs in the world. The Economist illustrates it best when in March of this year they stated that as the supply of painkillers has dropped, many patients have turned to heroin, which is cheap and plentiful. Currently, over 1 million people abuse heroin nationwide as a direct result of what appear to be simple and harmless painkillers. That doesn't sound very joyous at all. The twisted irony of opioids is that they provide chronic pain relief for our citizens, but usually at the cost of taking their lives, which leads directly into the second effect, the death of thousands of helpless human beings. The CDC reports that in 2015, opioid overdose and eventually heroin overdose led to the death of 52,000 American citizens. 52,000. Most of them just good, hardworking, ordinary people, same as you and I, until one day their life changed forever. Maybe they broke a bone or had to undergo common surgery, or for whatever simple reason got mixed up in the opioid crisis. Every 10 minutes, someone in this country dies of an opioid overdose. In light of these effects, I advocate that the United States Congress pass the Opioid Crisis Relief Act of 2017. This legislative document has 3 mandates, all working hand in hand to successfully stop this epidemic. See, when asked how to treat the problem of opioids in this country, Dr. Christopher M. Jones of the FDA stated that the answer lies in making sure people who don't really need opioids don't really get them. For this reason, opioids are now to be prescribed only in cases of severe pain, leaving the moderate pain aspect that they normally to be prescribed for safe painkillers such as Tylenol and Advil. This will at least cut the number of people addicted in this country by half, because at least half of them will be on far safer drugs. See, mandate 2 is that upon doling out an opioid prescription, doctors are then required to communicate with their patients bi-weekly, once every 2 weeks, about the prescription, either over the phone or in person, where they will ask them questions about possible symptoms of addictions or tolerances that could be occurring. This will do 2 things. 1, it will de-incentivize patients who oppose meetings from taking the drug at all, and 2, it will create more doctor-patient communication to successfully prevent the chance of an opioid overdose reaching a point where it would be considered untreatable. Mandate 3. With every opioid prescription given, 1 milliliter of the drug naloxone, a nasal spray medication used to combat the effects of opioid overdoses extremely effectively, are to be prescribed with it. 1 milliliter. Safe, easy to supply, easy to use, and all it takes to save a patient's life, a human being's life. Centuries ago, the Joy plant was praised across the globe for its healing properties and awesome recreational effects. But as the years went by, the intentions of the Joy plant have strayed far from what it was originally intended for. In modern times, people have tried to use it for medicinal purposes, and although it is highly effective at treating chronic pain, the side effects of it are just far too dangerous to be considered for safe use. We have to face the fact that the Joy plant is now causing anything but joy. We learned how a simple recreational plant has inadvertently caused one of the worst crises that America has ever seen today. First, we dug up our causes and found that our own ignorance, opioids' highly addictive qualities, and their gross overprescription all heavily contribute to our 2 negative effects. We watered the garden and 2 negative effects sprung up for today's crisis: heroin addiction and death on a massive scale. We learned that opioids are inadvertently turning people into heroin fiends, causing them to lose their lives when all they want to do is heal themselves. Finally, we looked at how the Opioid Crisis Relief Act of 2017 will be the best possible solution to this problem. We learned how to put the joy back in Joy plant. See, opioids cost over 100 American citizens their lives per day. That could easily be me. It could just as easily be you. It could be anyone in this room. The most terrifying part of an opioid addiction is that usually, by the time you realize how much you've destroyed your life and the lives of all of those around you, it's too late to save yourself. But luckily, we've been given the tools to end this epidemic. We've learned how to put the plan in Joy plant so that our country may walk forward into a brighter, better, and safer tomorrow for America.